guests.
Good evening.
A very warm welcome to our milestone meeting of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Today we celebrate the 1400th meeting. A very special welcome to all our past presidents who come to us. Contributed to the success and impact our club has had over the years. The 3 rules. Initially when I joined Toastmasters, it was mentioned as rules, and then it became guidelines. There are 3. They say refrain from speaking on topics on religion, sex and politics. But why do you think we ask people to refrain from speaking on these topics? Anybody? It hurts. But why does it hurt? Sorry? Yes, go ahead. Somebody said emotion.
We talk about it all the time otherwise.
Okay, great. These 3 topics have less logic and much more of emotion. So what's honey to one is bitter to another. So I request people coming on the stage to refrain from hurting or hurting others' feelings. And another rule which you will hear is that please keep your mobile phones on silent. Think of it this way. These 2 hours are for you. It's yours alone. Your spouse, your kids, your in-laws can all wait. In India, we have a strong support system. If you're not available, the next in command is going to be contacted. So please keep your phones on silent. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. And now it's my privilege to introduce the president who's at the helm of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. He is an entrepreneur, a trainer by profession, and loves numbers. If you've chatted with him on WhatsApp, he has a $sign as an S in his name. One of the qualities which I admire most about him is his calm nature. Others may be raffled and rattled, but he is calm and he finds out solutions. And that's a very important trait for a leader. Please join me to welcome our president, Toastmaster Shashank Bhatt.
Hello Toastmasters, past presidents of Bangalore Toastmasters Club, my dear guests. Good evening and welcome to Bangalore Toastmasters Club.
Good evening.
I now call to order milestone meeting number 1400 of Bangalore Toastmasters Club. It is a privilege being here amongst you and standing in front of you. Sometimes when I sit back and think that I'm the president of a Toastmasters Club such as BTMC, am I worth it? But when I come and meet all of you here on Friday evenings, as Hannah mentioned, I will relax. Because most of the presidents would know that with great power comes great responsibility as well. And managing a club such as Bangalore Toastmasters Club is not an easy task. Right? I still remember, it was meeting number 1315 of Bangalore Toastmasters Club. My first meeting here, the same hall. I got to know about this meeting through my cousin who wanted to join the speech craft program. He told me there is a Toastmasters Club called Bangalore Toastmasters Club. They meet every Friday. Guests can attend a couple of sessions for free. You want to come and try? I said, why not? I knew about Toastmasters Club anyways. But when I saw the agenda, when I saw the names, came across one name, DTM Dr. Rajdeep Manwani. And I knew him from 2013 when I was the president of my college. we had invited him for as a chief guest for one of the events. And when I saw his name, I made it a point to attend this club's meeting. And believe or no, the next meeting I got in touch with the VP membership, Toastmaster George. The following week, I was inducted as a member of Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Meeting number 1315. What was so special and significant about that meeting? It was a grand meeting with a very good TMOD and an external general evaluator as well. I was sitting right there and I was astonished with the quality of the meeting. I was thinking, oh, what a wonderful job done by the TMOD. Table Topic Master did a brilliant job. What great evaluations by the evaluators. What great speeches by the speakers. No one can beat this. But later when I heard the GE, when I heard the evaluators, I calmed down, I actually sobered down. I had this in me that I can talk to people, I don't have any stage fear, I don't have any public speaking issues. But when I met them, I thought they were the best. And when those people got feedback for improvement, I thought I am nowhere close to them. All my attitude, ego, which was built in me, just flowed out like a river. I learned one thing then. No matter how good we are, there is always scope for improvement. And that is what this club offers. Every Friday when we meet here, I call this our second family. Monday to Thursday and over the weekends, we stay with the family. But I make it a point, as I have mentioned previously as well. Friday evenings, it is me time. I come back to my second family without fail. And that is what we take pride in. We call ourselves a family as well. The bonding we have, the camaraderie we have, I think I have not seen in many other clubs, to be fair. To the past presidents who are here, a special thanks to all of you. Because of you, we are here today. Because of your efforts put in by all of you, we are here today reaping the benefits because of the seeds sown by you. I know how difficult it is. This is my third term in the committee. When I start off as a treasurer, then the VP Education, and the president. Each post has its challenges. And putting together an event or a meeting, in fact, I know the efforts which goes in the background, and a big salute to all of you because you have managed such a club with such grace, without many issues. I can only imagine, and we are learning from you guys. It reminds me of a story about Charles Stevenson, my apologies. He was a pilot of a fighter plane during World War II. After his retirement, when he was in his remote village, he came across someone who ran to him and said, "Hi, how are you? It's my privilege talking to you." He said, "It's been 10 years since I'm retired and I'm not a public figure. A pilot usually sits in his cockpit without much interaction with others." He said, "How do you know me?" He said, "I built in the parachutes for you when you were flying." So he was impressed. A person like him who built parachutes for others, how can he remember me? And that is when he made the point that no matter big or small, famous or not so famous, all of us can shape our career, all of us can contribute in one of the other ways to our lives. So to all the members who have not taken charge or not been in the committee of Bangalore Toastmasters Club yet, a special thanks to you as well. Because without you, the committee is nothing. It's because of the efforts put in by all the members every Friday, the committee can present a good meeting and can do a better job in its task. For the first time, I think in this tenure, I am out of words because looking at all of you here, I feel so humbled that I don't know what to speak. So let me hand over the stage to the next person in queue for today's meeting, the Toastmaster of the day. As I mentioned, it is because of him I joined this club. It is also because of him that I took up the role of the treasurer, my first role in this club, because of his influence as well. He told me once, "You are good at numbers. You can deal with the club's finances as well. Take up that responsibility." I had not even thought about that. In 2 months, I joined in March of last year. July, I was already the treasurer of the club. It's because of him that I'm also growing at my career, because he is also my personal mentor in my training institute as well. He is a triple postgraduate, doctorate holder, 2 gold medals during his post-graduation from Mysore University, and my personal mentor. Not only me, I'm sure all of you agree that he has shaped the lives of many people in this room as well as outside of this room as well. Please put your hands together to welcome distinguished Toastmaster Dr. Rajdeep Manwani.
Thank you so much, Shashank, for that wonderful introduction. I told him he was good in numbers and he became a treasurer. I also told him you're very good at figures and he married the next month. Okay, so I don't know what figures he was thinking of, but just a year since he got married. And anyway, I'm not going to talk about numbers again because who knows, next year we have 3 people there, right? So thanks, Shashank, for that wonderful introduction. I'm reminded of a small incident which happened when I was in my younger days, where I could see a little bit, and we had gone for a movie of Charlie Chaplin called The Tramp. And in this Tramp, Charlie Chaplin plays the role of a small beggar, and one day in the morning he gets up, he takes his begging mat, he holds it under his arm, and he goes with his begging bowl, and he sits down over there early in the morning, it's around 5, it's still dark. And as he puts his begging bowl down and he puts his mat down and he sits over there, there's a milkman who's going to deliver milk, and he salutes Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is a little amazed. Wow, somebody saluting me? Fantastic. After the milkman, the newspaper guy goes and even he salutes Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is a little more amazed. Wow, there's something which has happened to me. There's some transformation which has happened to me because of which people are saluting. In the next 1 hour, he finds that everybody passing him is saluting him, and now his ego is above board. He's saying, wow, I have gone through a transformation that evening. Suddenly, everybody is saluting me. But when it becomes a little sunny, he sees a general go by, and the general also salutes him. Now he's a little confused. Why is everybody saluting me? So the next passerby goes, yes, why are you saluting me? Why is everybody saluting me? That man coughs at him and says, who's saluting you? See where you're sitting. You're sitting behind the statue of Abraham Lincoln. We are actually saluting Abraham Lincoln. So all the salutes and praises which I got are nothing of mine. It's all because of those past presidents who were behind me. I am just a beggar in the field of public speaking who's learning still to speak. All those past presidents, all those people who are behind this club are instrumental in what I am. Let's come to today's meeting. Do you know what is common between the explosion of Mount Vesuvius, one of the most dangerous volcanoes which was situated in Italy, the invention of the sewing machine, and this meeting of Bangalore Toastmasters? All happened on October 27th. So we are actually in for an explosion. We are actually in for something very, very legendary which is going to happen this meeting. And the theme for this meeting was decided as rekindle time. So I was a little confused. Now how do I work on this rekindle time? So first I looked at time and I said, what is this time all about? And I got a beautiful quote by Christopher Levy which says, if you want to know the value of a year, ask a student who has just failed his exam. If you want to know the value of a month, ask a mother who has delivered a premature baby. If you want to know the value of an hour, ask lovers who are waiting to meet each other. If you want to know the value of a minute, ask the person who has just missed his train. If you want to know the value of a second, ask an individual who's just survived a car accident. And if you want to know the value of a millisecond, that's 1/100th of a second, ask an athlete who's got the silver medal and he's missed the gold medal. And I think so that is the value of time. But I thought I'll add something more. If you want to know the value of 2,800 hours well spent, ask members of Bangalore Toastmasters who have come to these meetings for 1,400 meetings, and they have spent their valuable time in such a beautiful manner for these last 26 years. And then I said, let's go look at the meaning of the word rekindle. What does kindle all about? So there is something called as an etymological dictionary, which gives you the actual meaning of how a word comes to existence. And I saw this word kindle had a very, very interesting origin. The word kindle comes from the word to produce or to give birth to or to bring forward. And that's why you get the word kin, you know, all your kin and all that. And I said, how come Priyanka has thought of kindle? Give birth to produce. Then I know she's recently joined Tinder, but whatever. Correct? Then Shashank is also there, right? But then I understood that we have to give birth to somebody when there's a flame of passion. And that's what was given as a meaning. And that flame of passion gave birth to this fire or this word kindle. And this flame has been ignited 99 years back. In fact, on October 22nd, 1924, there was a man called Ralph C. Smedley who started the first Toastmasters meeting at YMCA, and he kindled this fire of passion to give birth to this organization called Toastmasters International. And we are kin of this very big organization called Toastmasters, where, as per latest statistics, we have clubs in 148 countries. We have 270,000 members and nearly 13,200 clubs all over the world. And in India, out of 900 clubs, out of those 13,200 clubs, Bangalore Toastmasters is the second oldest and one of the largest. And it was actually kindled in the same month, October, in 1997. So what we have to do is give a big round of applause to this beautiful kindled the imagination and given birth to several hundreds of speakers. We will talk about the history of Bangalore Toastmasters as we go ahead in this meeting. But let's understand that every Toastmasters meeting across the globe has three main sections. One is the prepared speech, where you learn to give a speech and learn to speak better. Then you have the impromptu speaking section or the table topics, where you learn to think better. And finally, you get feedback on whatever you have spoken and whatever you have done in the club, where you learn to get a better listening idea and you get the best feedback for whatever you've done. But today being a special meeting, we are going to have only two sections. We are going to have the table topics and the prepared speech. We are going to skip the general evaluation for the time being, and we'll come back to that later. This is for the benefit of all the guests who are sitting here, right? So to welcome the first speaker, that is, we are going to start off straight away with the prepared speech section. And for the prepared speech section, we have our first speaker. Before that, he is going to be evaluated by a very, very interesting personality. I'll tell a story about him a little later, but for the time being, we'll talk about his professional achievements. Although his name is Nitin, he is more than gold for the club, no longer 10, correct? He has been a group financial officer for L&T for several years, and now he's working in a solar company as one of the financial heads, as one of the board director members. He is going to be evaluating another person. So first I'll ask Nitin to read out the guidelines of his of the person whom he's going to evaluate. Nitin.
Yeah. The speaker is attempting level 3 project 2 motivational strategy. The purpose of the project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Time 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nitin, for that wonderful evaluation guideline. Now let's come to the speaker. Although this man's name symbolizes the moon, Soma, and he's a moon shaker, Soma shaker, correct? But can you believe he works for a company which is related to the sun, solar panel, right? He is one of the senior directors of solar panel, and I asked him what, he said, no, actually, although I am the moon, but I love the sun, correct? I don't know which suns he's talking about, but he loves the sun. And I'm going to tell you an incident. Since we are talking about rekindling time, you know, when I first came to the club and I was sitting down, he was giving a speech, you know, and this was several years back, and I'll talk about that a little later. And when he was speaking, he gave a very interesting episode. He said there were two boys who were fighting, who were talking to each other, and one of the boys said, "Hey man, you know, my father shouted at me and I'm feeling very depressed. What do you do when you feel depressed and when your father shouts at you?" The other boy told, "You know, when my father shouts at me, I clean the toilet." So he said, "What? When your father shouts at you, you clean the toilet?" He said, "Yes, I clean it with my father's toothbrush." Correct? And this was what Somashekhar had told me, and after that day, whenever I brushed my teeth, my son was so scared. I used to feel that God taste in my mouth. I started reading it. I started taking it to work also. Correct? That is the impact Somashekhar can have on you. Right? So, to welcome Somashekhar, who is going to speak on the level 3 of his project, which is storytelling. Please welcome on stage Somashekhar.
It was around the same time of the year, October 1996. I got a message on my pager saying that I need to attend a service call right here at the office of Deccan Club, which is still there in MG Road. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I rushed to the Deccan Club office in my moped. I was then a service technician in a company which built water level controllers, and this equipment was malfunctioning. So as soon as I went to the office, the general manager shouted at me, and I had to run straight to the water tank where the equipment is really fixed. I went there, and the sensor is usually fitted inside the tank. So I climbed on top of the tank, and I found that the water was full. There's no way I could fix the sensor. I waited for an hour for the water to recede, but then it just went down only by a feet in 60 minutes. I had to do something. I lost my patience. I took off my shirt, and with trousers, I jumped inside the tank. I fixed the sensor, came out. Next 90 minutes, I sat there, soaking myself in the sun for the trousers and my tears to dry. The Toastmasters, my future was bleak. I really was totally dejected. That evening, I went home. That time I was staying in a place, a portion of the house which was rented by a close friend of my dad. This man was extremely busy. That evening I went there, I saw him starting his scooter and balancing with two bags. One bag contained a lot of books and files. The other bag, it had some wooden stuff in there. I didn't know what it was. I used to call him uncle. Uncle, I asked him, "You need some help?" He said, "Yes, you can come along with me." Straight away I got on the scooter and he drove right to this St. Joseph's College auditorium. He went there, pulled one of the bag. That was actually a lectern what he was carrying, and he had around 5 to 6 candles inside. There were 5 to 7 people sitting there, or just they were waiting for this person to come in. I did not have a clue what was happening. I sat there. The good thing was, the 5 or 6 people who were there, they came to me, they smiled at me, they spoke to me. That was enough to lift my spirit that day. Right? Well, I made it a habit. Next 6 weeks, I accompanied this gentleman, whom I lovingly call as Robinson Uncle. And this is how my journey with Bangalore Toastmasters Club started. Week after week, there were people coming in there, new people. They were giving icebreaker speeches, and every speech was inspiring in its own way. That changed my life. In 5 years' time, this technician who was climbing the roofs of, I climbed more than 100 or 200 roofs in this city, fixing this water level controller. On September 1st, 11 days before the World Trade Center was bombed, I was right at the 110th floors of World Trade Center in New York City. That day, tears in my eyes, remembering, or actually the sense of deep sense of gratitude to the people who helped me to reach that height. I was at the top. Mr. Vijay was not there on top of gold that day. Where Toastmasters, Bangalore Toastmasters had changed my life. It's not just my story. I'm very sure whoever has become a member of this club, they have a story to tell, right? So, this club was, today we are celebrating 1400th meeting. Yet the club is going strong because the people who took the leadership role after the founder, members who lead the land. Right? There's so many of them, I can't tell the name. If your name comes up there, your name is definitely out there. So many leaders took this forward, and that is why even on this 1400th edition, we are actually going so strong, right? It's not enough actually one person puts the foundation. Now, what has changed in 27 years? So one thing, that time the dress code was very important. Every evaluator, used to come and say, "Where is your tie? You're not wearing a tie," right? That's what you can see in all these club meetings. What else has changed? It was a family then. Well, even now it's a family, but installation ceremonies were fun. It was spouse, children. We had a gala time after the installation ceremony. Drink, dine, wine. It was simply fantastic. And we had picnics. Every term we had a picnic. That really brought us together. This is when I think I can see there's a madam sitting there. She took us to her farm. It was a lovely time, my dear friends. Toastmasters. It is much more than helping you building communication skills. There are people so humble sitting amongst you today who accomplished so many things in life, but they are still, humility is just growing. That's what Bangalore Toastmasters Club stands for, right? Now, I want to compare this club to a bottle of expensive wine. All of you know that wine is mostly made up of grapes. The founder members, most of them are sitting here today. Mr. Robinson D'Souza, Siraj, Rahman, Claudius Pereira, Anil is not here. They have planted the best of the seed. They have nurtured this so well. We have the need of the best wines. Yet, what makes the wine special? The soil. Yes, one is age, the climatic condition, and they say even the trees and the flowers which is around the vineyard, that gives a flavor, and that makes it so special and expensive. And that's what all these members did to this club. Thousands of members came in, they spread their flavors, they just brought in their ideas, and that has made this club so special. Members who joined recently and the new members, believe me, this club has produced numerous leaders. So come here, be part of this club, wear your learning cap, leave your ego apart. And one important thing, do not take anything personally. I've seen that is one thing which has ruined many people, because there is a process called evaluation in the club where two people meet the line. There are people who take things personally. Please don't do that. If you keep that apart, I bet you will have a story to tell for your children and the generation to come. Over to you.
Sanskrit Soma also means wine. That's why I spoke about wine. Go to the spiritual path, they tell you stay away from 4 W's: women, wine, wealth, and WhatsApp. But so if you want to get into the material world, get in contact with Bangalore Toastmasters. Correct, right? But nobody can forget about their first meeting. I came into this club in 2007, and I entered the hall, and Arun John Matthias was the president at that time, and he shook my hand and he said, I think so, you have an eye problem. And I said, yes. I said, how did you know? He said, you came from the window, not from the door. Actually, correct or not? And those big windows were in St. Joseph's Arts and Science, where we used to have our meetings, and recently my son got admission in St. Joseph's, and we went to the third floor, and I was trying to get into the window, and all the students are staring at me. What is he trying to do? What is he doing? I told him, I'm trying to rekindle time, right? Correct. My son has not taken me to the college after that, but whatever, right? Okay, next we go to the second prepared speech, and to evaluate the second speaker, we had an amazing personality. She's the grand young lady of our club. Oh, right. She was the first woman president of our club. She was the secretary of the Public Relations Society of India, amazing corporate trainer, public speaker, keynote addresser, a individual with infinite love and charisma. We will ask a friend, a good friend, her name means Sumitra, good friend of everybody. So let's ask this good friend of everybody to read out the guidelines for the next speaker.
Toastmaster of the day, my fellow Toastmasters and guests. The member is attempting a speech from the part Strategic Relationships. He's doing the level 3. It's an elective about vocal variety. And the purpose of this project is for the member to practice using vocal variety to enhance a speech. Time manager note, it's 5 to 7 minutes. Back to you.
Thank you. Now, what do I say of the second speaker? He is happily successful. Vijay Anand, his name is Vijay. He's a successful and happy, and he's one of the best corporate trainers, best speakers, best personality you can ever meet. He is my mentor. So when I joined this club in 2007, the person who handheld me to wherever I reached, correct? So he's the first person, he's the beard of Abraham Lincoln. Correct? So he's the one who actually brought me, and I remember some of his wonderful advice which he gave me. When I had been in this club for 2 or 3 years, and they had asked me to give an educational session in the club. So just like Shashank started off, I also started off. I don't think I'm worth be giving this educational session in this beautiful club called TTMC. And after the meeting, he pulled me aside and he said, Rajdeep, never say that you are not worth it and you cannot speak well, because after you speak, they'll find out anyway. After that, I've never said that. Shashank, take that from me today. Okay? So, the next speaker is my mentor and one of the most amazing personalities, Vijay Anand. Please wait. I forgot to tell you, he gave me a speech title which confused me quite a bit. Intuition. Okay, whatever it is. Intuition. Okay, intuition. Okay, whatever it is. Okay.
Vijay, you must go for institutions. No, Dad, I don't want to go. Why not? What's the problem with tuitions? Dad, tuitions are very boring and very taxing. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. This was the conversation between my father and myself. I was in the 10th grade, very poor in Hindi. Forget scoring high marks, I couldn't pass the Hindi grade. Listen, Vijay, you must go for institutions because if you fail Hindi, you will fail in your ICSE board exams. So much against my wishes, I was forced to go for Hindi tuitions. Tuitions were thrice a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Duration 1 hour. Timing 4:30 to 5:30. And at that point, our house was 2 minutes walk from the tuition class. First month, first day of tuition, 4:25, I'm still wearing my Bishop Cotton Boys School khaki uniform, sitting in the house. My mother shouts from the kitchen, Vijay, go for tuition. If you don't go, I'll call your father. Okay, ma, chill, don't shout, I go. I opened the cupboard. The first t-shirt I could lay my hands on, I pulled it out. I wore the t-shirt. The t-shirt was crumpled. The first pair of jeans, I just wore it. The jeans had more holes than fabric. Air-conditioned jeans. I pulled out my Nike shoes, originally white, now brown. Like the saying goes in English, I dragged my feet and went to tuition. Dragged my feet medically, I didn't like the idea. 4:28, I left the house. 4:30, I reached tuition class. 5:30, tuition got over. 5:32, back in the house. Now this trend going at 4:28, coming at 5:32, first month it goes on, second month it goes on. Start of the third month of tuitions, yours truly is ready by 4:15. 4:15. This time I decided to pull out some better clothes I had. I asked my mother to iron my t-shirt and my jeans. I washed my Nike shoes from brown, they became green. This time I wasn't dragging my feet. Singing, humming, whistling, at 4:15 I left for tuition. Any idea what time I came back from tuition?
5:32. 5:32.
No, hold on, this is just 10th standard, not PhD. 5:45 I came back from tuition. Now this trend, going at 4:15, coming back at 5:45. Third month it continued. Fourth month it continued. Start of the fifth month of tuitions. This time yours truly ready by 4 p.m. And I convinced my mother to buy me new t-shirts, new jeans, a new pair of Reebok shoes, and the best part, the icing on the cake, or should I say the cherry on the cake,
White
a
shoes.
brand new cycle seat for a tuition class that was 2 minutes away from home. 4 o'clock, wearing my new clothes, new shoes, brand new cycle, singing, humming, whistling, I left for the tuition class. Friends, what time do you think I came back from tuition? 6 o'clock. You guys are following me. This is scary, huh? This is following me. Yes, you nailed it. 6 o'clock I left tuition. Now this trend, going at 4, coming at 6. Fifth month it continued. Sixth month it continued. Last year tuition, 6th month, it was a Friday. That day, my father was at home. I was running out of the house to get my cycle. He stopped me. Vijay, I want to talk to you. About what, Dad? Tuitions. Dad, no time, Dad. Getting late. I left for tuitions. 2 days later, it was a Sunday. I was having lunch. Father shouted, finish your lunch, don't come. I want to talk to you. I went to the living room. Tell me, how are your tuitions getting along? Okay, Dad. What do you mean, okay? I can see a lot of difference in your attitude towards tuition. What brought about this change, I say? Dad, it's what you said, Dad, 6 months ago. What did I say? I don't remember. You told me that ICC board exam is very important. Only because of that you took tuition so seriously. No, Dad, not only that. In the 4 southern states there, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra, TN, I want to top the Hindi paper. Dad, you know what's going on. Not only that, Dad, I want to prove a point to all the North Indians that we South Indians can speak Hindi well, Dad. My dad didn't know what we did. Okay, all that's fine, I say. 6 months back, I said, go for tuition. You said 1 hour is boring and taxing. Now your mother tells me you're spending 2 hours, I say. Tuition's 4:30, right? Why do you go at 4 o'clock? What do you do 4 to 4:30? GDs, huh? What is GDs? Group discussions. 10th standard fellows? Group discussions? I thought only MBA fellows. Oh, Dad, times are changing. Achha, fine, but what do you guys discuss, man, in groups? Hindi. Hindi? I told you, Dad, you have to speak the language fluently. All that's fine. What about 5:30 to 6, I say? Tuition work. Tuition work? I have not heard this concept. See, Dad, the Hindi teacher, Mr. Collins, she gives us homework. Tuition teacher gives us tuition work. But why do you guys hang out there? Why can't you come home and do the tuition work, I say? Dad, that's the power of combined studies. Combined studies? Only for exams, I say. Dad, I told you, Dad, I want to talk Hindi. I said, all that's fine. You're dressing, I say. 6 months back, you're going to some vagabond, some beggar, some chokra boy, wearing some torn clothes. Now, I'm going for a fashion show or tuition. Why this interest in dressing, man? Dad, I read an article. What article? It says that if a man is well dressed, he feels confident. What do you feel confident about? Mastering Hindi. Friends, they say men don't display their emotion. But that day, my father got teary-eyed. It was my turn. I stood up. Dad, why only Hindi tuition, Dad? Maths, physics, chemistry, biology, history, geography, English, any tuition, Dad. For your sake, I will go. I want to prove one point. I'm the most obedient son under the sun. Everyone in the house were touched, moved by my story, my transformation, how I embraced to Hindi tuition. Everyone, my grandparents, my parents, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, everyone were just mesmerized by my transformation. But one person in the house had an intuition, that intuition, something was wrong. That was my older brother. He kept on looking me in the eye. 2 years back, I went for same tuition. I didn't have GDs. I didn't get tuition work. What rubbish is this fellow talking? I could not make eye contact with my brother. I had my room on the first floor. Next day, Monday, 4 o'clock, ready for tuition, singing, humming, whistling. I left for tuition. Small twist in the story. My brother decided to follow me. I didn't do that. Within 20 seconds, I was in tuition class, happily in my GDs, having the time of my life. I got the shock of my life when I saw my brother. He got the shock of his life when he saw me. Because I was the only boy among 9 girls. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Vijayanand. Your tuition time should have been 4:20. My God, so doing right. And with, yeah, I used to take tuition some years back, and one of the girls was sleeping at the back, and I asked the student next door, please wake her up. And she told me, sir, you put her to sleep, you only wake her up. I wish I had people like Vijayanand who would have woken up. Anyway, so with that amazing speech, we come to the end of the prepared speech session, but we have a very interesting session lined up now. Okay, there was this lady who met both Jawaharlal Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi, and somebody asked her, what was the difference between Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi? So she said, you know, when I met Nehru, I felt he's so regal, he's so important, he's one of the most intelligent person. And then what about when you met Gandhi? He said, I felt so important. Gandhi made me feel so good, so nice. I felt that I was the most important person in the world. And I think so that's the difference between managing and leading. When a manager comes into the room, everybody, or in fact the manager tells, here I am. But when a leader enters the room, everybody says, here he comes. And here comes a leader who is going to actually moderate this panel discussion. An individual who is a doctorate in the field of competencies required for recruitment managers. He is the director of the Institute of Human Resource Development. He's been the regional director for the Institute of International Society for Training and Development. He's a corporate trainer. He's a keynote speaker. He is one of the founders of our club. Please welcome on stage Dr. Sirajur Rahman to conduct the panel discussion on leadership.
evening.
Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Today we are going to have a panel discussion on a relevant topic, leadership and its effectiveness. We are all leaders, don't you think so?
Yes.
So we are going to understand what is leadership. What are some of the qualities which leaders need to possess? Is there any difference between a leader and manager? And how Toastmasters prepare all of us in our journey towards leadership. So all these aspects we are going to discuss. Are you ready for the discussion?
Yes.
So to discuss some of these topics, we have with us a star-studded panel. And I have the privilege of introducing all the panel members. First, I'm going to give a brief introduction, and you have to guess. Okay, are you ready for this quiz?
Yes.
This person is a serial entrepreneur. He's a mentor, he's a coach, he has mentored several entrepreneurs, he's the author of 2 well-known bestseller books. Can you guess?
Claudius Pereira.
Yes, please welcome Mr. Claudius Pereira. Second panelist on this panel, he has demonstrated commitment for Toastmasters since 24 years. In 24 years' time, he has started, or he has helped in starting 20 Toastmasters clubs. When he was the secretary of our Toastmasters Club, his attendance was 100% for 2 consecutive terms. Can you imagine? And he had so much commitment for development of young children and improving their communication skills. He was considered as the Chacha of our club. Can you guess who this person is?
The boss boy Abraham.
The third panelist is a very young member. Since 10 years, he is with Geo Platforms. He is working as general manager. He has also been the president of our club. And he has achieved great things. He is one of the directors of Toastmasters International. Can you imagine? Again, can you guess who is this person? Pawas Chandra, please welcome Pawas Chandra. Generally, we believe that Toastmasters is meant for communication skills, improving our communication skills. This view is very, very limited. Toastmasters is like a seed, and we are just happy and contented with just picking few drops of water. Toastmasters is meant for transforming our leadership style. Toastmasters has a program to groom all of us so that we contribute at the organization level, at the nation level, by becoming more effective leaders. So let's understand a lot of things about leadership, leadership development, leadership practices. So are you ready for this discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with the first question. The first question is very, very simple. What is leadership? You know, if we read management books, we get several definitions. Peter Drucker has given a definition of what is leadership. George Terry has given his own definition. Let's go by the practical experience of our panelists. So I request Claudius to help us understand what is leadership. How do you define leadership, Claudius?
Thank you, Suraj. 34 years ago, when I walked into the first Toastmasters meeting, it was in Cunningham Road, there was a dream inside me which was to be, realized. Because when I was 12 years old, I had a relative who came from, London. And we were from a very poor family. We barely had 2 meals a day. And he asked me a question. What is it that I want to become when I grow up? And as a small boy, poor family, I told them that I wanted to start a business someday in my life. And he looked at me in mean eyes. This is what our relatives do, It's better to have enemies than relatives, right? He said, your chance to make it is 1 in a million. I didn't have the courage to stand up and speak to him because we were taught never to talk back to elders. So I got up from the chair. I went into my small garden. My dog Jimmy was sitting there. And I told Jimmy, if my chances are 1 in a million, I will be that one. 34 years later, if that was only 50% of the battle when I was young, but 34 years ago, I walked into this Toastmasters meeting. And that's where Toastmasters actually transformed my life. What did I see? There were 7 people sitting in the Institute of Engineers. The person who was conducting the meeting is no more today, Mr. S.S. Chittur. That's the person who brought Toastmasters to India. And during the topic session, they threw a question, and believe me, I was an introvert. And I couldn't speak even for 20 seconds. And like Sheshank said, and Rajdeep said, the environment of learning, where Toastmasters, you learn inside and compete outside. And that actually transformed me from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And if somebody asks me today, can you define Toastmasters in 1 line? This is what I tell the world. Throw me to the wolves, and I'll come back as a pack leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your journey to become a very effective leader. Bosco, there is a debate among professionals whether leaders are born or made. What is your perspective on this?
Thank you, Mr. Siraj and my dear friends, fellow Toastmasters. It's exciting to be back at the Bangalore Toastmasters Club after so many years. I believe leaders are born, and I have a reason to say that. The very fact that I was conceived in my mother's womb made me a leader. All of us have in us those skills which would make us a leader. But however, somewhere down the line, as we grow up, we start looking at somebody else being the leader. We look at somebody else who we feel are better, and we tend to become followers. And once you decide to become a follower, you will always be a very honest, faithful follower. What needs to be looked at is what I learned when I was coming out of school. When my father said, I have 3 years to retire, by which time you should be earning, because we were a large family. I had a very small choice of areas to consider. I finally did my diploma in ceramics. 3 years later, I did get a job, and this is what my father told me. He said, Bosco, if you want to be successful in your life, sincerity and integrity will take you places. Come what may, don't bend your values. I link this with your question, Mr. Siraj, by saying that if one needs to be looked at as a leader, we look at that person who is really sincere and has the abilities that goes with a leader. A manager generally manages but it's the leader who makes the difference. And if I am sitting amongst the leaders, I'm privileged. The tenacity that Claudius has, the knowledge that Powers has, and the skills that Siraj has, in a nutshell, is the leader.
Thank you, Bosco, for justifying that leaders are born, and also you highlighted some of the qualities which leaders require. So if someone has to become a very effective leader, what qualities are required, Powers, from your perspective?
Yes. Okay, firstly, very good evening, and I want to thank the club committee for asking me to come for this meeting. When one of the times when I was sitting on that side of the stage, when I had joined Toastmasters, and I saw a gentle giant and a jolly John, and I really wanted to be on this stage, so I have to be careful of what I dream because I know what's going to come out of this. I think leadership qualities is defined by the problem itself, what you're trying to achieve. Because as much as you want to be a leader, I think it starts with, can you be a good follower? You cannot be a good leader unless you be a good follower. So one thing that I would actually ask you to consider when you're taking leadership seriously is try to follow some of the things, process it, and be aware of what you can do. Because if you try to mimic others, that is not going to lead anywhere. And that is something you have to understand, that one aspect is following, but following not blindly. You have to understand what is right. And a lot of times, and since the social media has come in, you actually see the leaders and you actually pick up what you do not want to be. And that's the beauty of social media that has happened, that you don't want to be that kind of a leader. But you will be put into situations which may be very interesting. That includes that there is a medical emergency or there is a work efficiency that needs to be taken. So first thing that you will go back to is how much awareness you have about that problem. And awareness will come if you are open to follow. If you are open to follow, which means you are open to learn. So once you learn, you become aware. And once you are aware, you understand something which is very important, which is emotions of other people. People say that to lead, you have to be always inspiring. I believe to lead, you have to be really compassionate. Because each of us have unbelievable potential to upset anybody. And you keep tapping into that because you don't know which triggers will you hit of who's at what point of a time. And that's why you have to understand the people, where they are and which emotional state they are. You can get the best out of them only when you don't press those triggers. So in nutshell, it's about openness to learning, building awareness, and making sure that you're very compassionate. Of course, compassion is a definition that doesn't work all the time. And if there's a fire happening in your house, you don't require compassion, you have to run. But it's about awareness that you build about that. That will help you lead in most circumstances, if not all.
Thank you, Thomas. I have emphasized some of the important qualities of leaders. One is that a leader has to be a good follower also. And he also mentioned a very important thing, that is leaders need to manage their own emotions and also the emotions of other people. And this is called as emotional intelligence. So leaders who are going to achieve success in the long run, they are the people who have emotional intelligence. Now let's focus our attention on how leadership helps in Toastmaster, or how Toastmaster program helps in leadership development. Claudius, there was a time when you came from, Kolar or KGF. That time you had a lot of ambition, you had initial setbacks, you didn't get a job. Today you are running a 1,000 crore big organization. How did Toastmasters help you to climb this journey?
I went for 33 job interviews before I got my first job. I came to Bangalore with 10 rupees in my pocket. Just to share a story with you, Melvin, not our Melvin, was a boy called Melvin. He wanted to know how does heaven look, because people talk about heaven and hell. So he was praying to God one day and says, God, I want to see heaven and hell before I die. So God said, okay, my son, I will probably take you. So he comes down on one night, takes Melvin out from his sleep, and takes him right above the clouds. It's a very serene place, and then takes Melvin into a large hall where he sees a lot of people sitting down. It was a dining hall, and those people sitting down were looking very sickly. It was time for dinner. So 10 minutes later, you had all the people come in, the nuns come in, and laid out a beautiful banquet of food. And then they asked everybody to stretch out both their hands. And there were ushers who came and tied long spoons to the hands and the wrists like that. And then they can announce, you may eat now. Since the spoons were tied on both the hands, they could not bend the hands. So they were trying the level best to pick up the food and try to throw it into the mouth. And in the process, all the food was falling out. It was going to waste. And then God told Melvin, this is hell. So then he took him to heaven. And as he went in, he seen a set of people who were looking so nice and so good. Dinner was announced, the banquet was laid. All the people had to stretch out their hands. The ushers came and tied spoons to their hands. And then they said, you may eat now. And what Melvin seen, people sitting opposite each other of a table, they took the food in the spoon, and this person sitting down was feeding the other person on the other side. And that person took the food on the spoon and fed the person on the opposite side. And this is how I describe Toastmasters. You feed the dreams. People dream, don't stop. Some people dream and hold on to the dream. Some people chase the dream. But I can tell you, I see a lot of wonderful faces here, all our past presidents. On behalf of them, I can tell you, we are actually living the dream by seeing all of you guys on the 1400 meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for describing your leadership journey with the help of motivational stories. Vasco, you are a metallurgist by profession, ceramist by profession, and Toastmaster by passion. How do you think Toastmaster help you in this transformation? Could you describe it?
From a totally technical field to humanities.
Long back, I learned to be successful in life, you need to have certain strengths. Technical strength, oral strength, physical strength, moral strength. As a ceramist, it was my business to know anything and everything about ceramics. But what I knew, I needed to share with somebody or tell somebody what I have as an idea or as a thought. That's where the skills of communication or the oral skills come into play. It was sometime in 2000, I don't know if Claudius will remember, I presented a speech in this club on my project 6, Total Quality Management, and I was evaluated by Claudius. the statement he made when he finally evaluated me was, that was a wonderful presentation on total quality management, but somehow I feel it did not suit this audience. This type of presentation is good for top level management, and I think you need to repeat your project. In those days, the evaluator always would say either you're promoted or you have to repeat your project. Well, I was excited because that is what was the reason behind my preparation of total quality management, because I had an interview the next day for a cadre change, and this was one of the topics that was the hot topic in those days when total quality management came into the country. And I was at that time able to speak about that topic at my interview. So as a technical person with the knowledge of ceramics, and as a Toastmaster who developed my skills of both speaking and listening, perhaps the blending of both these things helped me grow to a position that I never dreamt I would be, because in our organization, many of you will know, it is first preserve, then reserve, and only then the deserved cases that grow up. I belong to the third category, and if there is somebody or something that made it different for me, I believe it was this very platform, in this very club, which changed me.
Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master, for describing the process of transformation with the help of Toastmaster. Powers, you have carried the Toastmaster flag to international level. How did our club help you? How did our club groom you for this role?
I think whatever I have achieved, not just in Toastmaster but outside, a lot of credit goes to Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Now, I say that they ask what is your home club, so my home club keeps on changing. I say Bangalore Toastmasters is my mother club, because this is where I actually met myself. It helps you, it may sound philosophical, but this is the place where you learn a lot about people. And my first interaction, I was possibly some of you are guests the first time, and the first day I came, there was a gentleman, Arnold Mascarenas, old time member, and I was going through some bad phase. It's usually called breakups, so I was going through that. And so he saw me and he's like, "Young man, you look like a potential guy. What are you doing here?" And I'm like, is he talking to me? So the motivation that you get, no matter what you are going through life, whenever you show up at Bangalore Toastmasters Club, there will be one person who will put a smile on your face. And you will realize, some of you have realized, that the price of smile is much better than the cost of agony you are going through. And this is something that you have to always go through, that this club will help you make sure that they show you the light every time that you are down. In terms of purely the skill set, the protocols that Toastmasters follow, Bangalore Toastmaster is literally rich in that. We have survived for so many meetings purely because every leader here, they have stuck to the protocol as if it was a religion. And that is something which is very important. That has helped you understand the discipline which is required to succeed. Tenacity is something that you have heard, but this is where you live, and that is something which is absolutely interesting. And one thing that definitely I learned here is how to wear a tie, because you weren't allowed to give a speech without wearing a tie.
Thank you, Powers, for helping us understand how Bangalore Toastmasters. So you mentioned that Toastmasters follow the protocols with religious power. Fellow Toastmaster, we have very less time. We have, because of paucity of time, we may not be able to ask some more questions. I have some more questions to be asked, but we don't have time. Do we have some time for interaction with the audience? Yeah, can we have at least one or two questions? So here is an opportunity to interact with transformational leaders. Okay, stand up, introduce yourself, and identify the panelists and ask.
First of all, thank you so much for a wonderful panel, and it's so nice to see veterans on the stage. being a Toastmaster, I think, has been such a beautiful journey, and I can vouch for it. So, Pawas, I think I've not had a chance to speak to you much, but I've definitely heard stories from various other people about your journey in Toastmasters. Now that you're at the highest level of leadership in Toastmasters, I'm sure there are a lot of past precedents, there are a lot of aspiring young Toastmasters just like me. What is the ladder up there like, number one, and how do you get there? Like, I mean, that's an aspirational position to be in, and for somebody who's completed all sorts of leadership positions, somebody who's climbed the district level to win championships and all of that, what else is there but something like this? So how do you get there?
So what is the ladder and how will you reach that ladder?
So I'm assuming you're not asking for qualification criteria, right? Because that's purely district director is the basic qualification. So I wish I could answer it easily, but I think what I have realized, there are a lot of introspection. It is required at every level. And one thing that you will learn only in Toastmasters, there is no other organization, and I work for some of the best. This is the only organization where if you fail and if you are eager, people will give you a very, very good feedback. And that is something which is very unique. What happens is that you have to understand that at the surface, this is a communication platform. Communication is a skill. And that is something you have to understand. So communication can be a soft skill, but good communication is a very hard skill to learn. And that is what you develop here. And the second aspect, which is leadership, when you talk about leadership, it's not a skill, it's an identity. And you are being constantly judged. So your ability to understand that you will always be judged, and without taking the pressure, you do your responsibilities, that is more important. Secondly, ask people how they do it. In India, what happens is we are born in a way that we are fiercely competitive. Like, you remember the son and daughter of Sharma ji and Gupta ji who were cracking rank 1, rank 2 in the schools, and you became very competitive about it. So, from being competitive to collaborative, that's a massive shift that you learn here, because people here in Toastmasters, they help you understand. I think if you, so I joined Toastmasters when I was 23 or something, and I've been with Toastmasters for close to 15 years, and I can tell you that it still requires you to go and ask people, do you think this is something which is worthy of doing? So having that ability to, you are assured, but at the same time, asking for feedback is very important. And there are a lot of clubs across the world. I mean, I've attended clubs in more than 60 different countries, and I can tell you that what we do in India in Toastmasters is incredibly special. It doesn't happen across the world. The amount of passion that you're seeing past presidents, a lot of them, we are meeting after many years, and they are still here because they believe what Toastmasters offer, which is to help you understand the power of influence a human can have. And human voice is the weapon or the vehicle through which you will deliver. So understanding that, to go up, the more you are open. See, the higher you rise even in the professional journey, what will happen? Or you will see in your family, suddenly family will ask you for decisions. There is a set of ego that sets in. And that is what you have to allow it to shed and allow people to come in, which is not easy. Your circle will become smaller, but your circle of influence will become bigger if you are open to it.
Thank you, Thomas, for emphasizing that feedback is the breakfast of champions. Can we have one more last question? Only one, we don't have time.
I've actually written down my question. I'm Aditya. This question is for Mr. Claudius. How to execute a vision and never lose ambition, even when you're the only one who sees the final picture and no one else sees the end goal?
There's one thing I've learned from the Toastmasters. What you learn from the womb, you cannot take to your tomb. The feedback session, like he said, is this breakfast of champions. Just to share a story, I'm sure we heard about the tortoise and the hare story. I think we all know it. Do you know that there was a second story? Yes, you know? Yeah? How many of you don't know the second story? Put up your hands. Okay, for the benefit of you who don't know the second story, this time the hare said, I don't want the world to poke fun at me anymore. I want to win the second race. So the hare goes to the Mr. Tortoise and said, do you want to take a race with me? Let's have a challenge. So the tortoise is fine, my friend. Let's go, but I will choose the terrain. So finally the race starts. And the hare said, I'm not going to stop, I'm not going to take rest. And he starts, running towards the, winning post. And just before the winning post, there was a river. And the hare was just going to jump into the river. Something told the hare, you don't know how to swim. Many hours later, Mr. Tortoise comes, looks at the hare, says, better luck next time, gets into the water, swims across, goes to the winning post. Do you know that there was a third race? There was a third race. And I dedicate this third race to the Gen Now. Me being in business for 34 years, I've taken over as president of an entrepreneurship organization. I actually invited 15 Gen Now members to actually teach me how to get into their skill. So the third race was collaboration. Like how Paula spoke about. Where the hare told the tortoise, I don't want to compete with you anymore. I want to collaborate. So when we are on land, you sit on my back, let's go together, fast towards the winning post, and when we get to the water, you get into the water, I sit on your back, and together we get to our goal faster. So just to answer your question, I came across a book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. A very short, thin book, which talks about remove clutter in your life. So, thanks to Toastmasters, whatever we do, we normally first write our goals down in blood. Many years ago, I think 96, 97, C.S. Menon, can you kindly stand up? C.S. Menon, also the past president, let's give him a big hand. We had a very healthy competition on every Friday meeting. And the competition was, when he wins a big deal, he comes to me and tells me, this week I want a deal for 1 crore. Much as to say, whatever you achieved. So we were competing at the same time, actually igniting the passion. So when I done a deal of 2 crores, I come and tell him that, Menon. And let me tell you, 34 years when I see him today, the first thought came was what we used to do. So being across with people who yoke with you, many years, many decades, Toastmasters taught us to be, good mentors. But today I like to add one thing to that, to the Gen Now or what the Gen Now has brought in. You can no longer be a mentor and be successful. You need to be a sponsor with a mentor. Now what's a sponsor? You open the doors. you hold the hands of the person and you ensure he gets to the goal and he wins. Or lead that you may follow. That's what I tell my team, or get out of the way. So prepare yourself, get your plan ready, 6 days job, 5 days planning, 1 day execution, and sure, if you stay focused, take away your clutter, continue to be in a Toastmasters meeting, for the rest of your life, I think that will transform your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Flores, for highlighting how we can convert our dreams into realities. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, with this we are coming to the end of this session. We have discussed about leadership, qualities required for effective leadership, what are the differences between leaders and the managers, and how Toastmaster helps in building our leadership capabilities. All these things we have discussed. What we need to do is now we have to do an introspection and see on which of the qualities we are currently strong and which of the qualities where we need to make an improvement. And Toastmaster is there to help all of us. I would like to emphasize that all of us have a diamond within us, a diamond of creative or leadership capabilities. Many of us may not have discovered it. So can we discover this diamond and bring it out, make it shine, so that we can achieve glory for ourselves, our club, and the society. So with this, I would like to thank our panel members for their now hand over the control back to Toastmaster Ryan.
Thank you so much, Siraj, for that wonderful panel discussion on leadership. We heard 3 races. We have 1 more race going on, a race against time. So we have decided to drop the break. You will have a networking break. We used to call it networking. Nowadays it's called a chuchu break. So you can have a chuchu break a little later. Just control. That's also part of leadership. So we'll control that. And thank you for telling us so many interesting things about competition, comparison, and being your authentic self as a leader. There was this man who was shouting at his son, and we had this very big attitude of comparing with others and no collaboration, as Claudius was telling, Powers was telling, and he said, "You idiot," my father was telling his son, "You got only 65 in English. Look at your neighbor Anita Sharma, she got 95. You fool, you got only 55 in English. Look at your neighbor Anita, she got 93. You mad fellow, you got only 85 in your science exam, and Anita Sharma got 98. The boy got angry at his father and said, "Looking at her only, I got all these marks." Let's not be leaders. We are own leaders. So to take us to the next session, where we are going to discover the authenticity of the feedback, let me call upon the first evaluator for the day. This man, I was reminded of a story. There was a train which was going with an Indian and a Chinese, and there was this mosquito which flew past, and this Chinese caught it and he put it in his mouth. The next mosquito came, the Indian caught it and he gave it to the Chinese, and he told 5 rupees. Now this man has a huge Chinese connection. He was in China for several years as a part of their leadership team, and he's got finance. And he was very good, very, very keenly involved with his Chinese secretary. And he can also sing Chinese songs. So let's rekindle time with Nitin as the evaluator for Vijayanand. Okay, and he has to evaluate home shakers. The Chinese would be off. Home shakers.
I just told him, thank you very much. Good evening, Toastmasters and distinguished guests. And Toastmaster Soma in particular. Soma was attempting a story a story as such or a story as part of a speech. And in this connection, he chose a story which he could reminisce on the Toastmasters journey and rekindle the Toastmasters spirit. What a life, as you all know, Soma is a good storyteller. And there was a lot to expect from Soma, and he fulfilled that expectations by being very clear on the speech, whatever he was giving, had good eye contact. He was very comfortable with the audience as the project guidelines asked for. And because he chose the Toastmasters as the topic, he could engage with the audience. The audience were interested and glued to the story. And he had good pace. And what he did spectacularly well was using the slides and at the same time giving a story about the slides, even without looking at it. At times, of course, nothing much to find faults, but I want to nitpick on Soma, because that is where we all try to improve. First point I want to suggest Soma is the gestures. Now, gestures are so important, and he was giving the gestures, but if you could notice Soma on the video, you have a gesture and you come back and clap your hands. Now, after that, one more gesture, come back and clap your hand. Do not do that. That time you free it and go from one gesture to another. Don't come back and clasp the hand. And then at times, when the pitch is high, you're good, but when the pitch comes down, voice we cannot hear. You should be really audible. I think earlier also we had to do a feedback on that. Try to work on that, challenge yourself. And I think one thing we need to learn from Claudius is the pause. You would have seen the pauses he uses so effectively. He waits for the audience reaction. I think that's all we need to learn. Even I need to learn on that. But primary showing the card. That's the problem. And Soma is so good in humor. Today, maybe because of the speech content, it was missing. I missed that humor part. But when we talked about joining the Toastmasters, and then after years, we went to the World Trade Center and stood there, tears rolled. It conveyed the whole impact. It gave the impact of the story to all of us. I'm sure next year we'll climb to the next project of level 3. Thank you.
The reason I was telling about Chinese was last time when Nitin was the master secretary, he sang a beautiful Chinese song. We make him do that when we are all having snacks, correct? But what impressed me most about Soma's speech was when he removed his shirt and pant and jumped into the tank. He didn't tell you after that when he came out, he met his wife. He didn't tell you that, but that was the most interesting part. But anyway, coming to the next evaluator. The next evaluator, when I came to Bangalore Toastmasters Club, let's do a little bit of memory lane jogging. And I heard a speech of hers, which was called The Greatness of Fatness. It was an amazing humorous speech where she took Shakespeare's quote, some people are born fat, some people achieve fatness, and some people have fatness crushed on them. And she told a story of a man who was so fat and he wanted to commit suicide. So he jumped from the 3rd floor of his building, and then he opened his eyes and he was in the hospital, and he told the doctor, "Oh, I am alive." The doctor told, "Yes, but the 2 people on whom you fell right." So, the lady who gave such an amazing depiction of fatness, please welcome Sumitra on stage to evaluate.
The magic of voice lies in the ability to transport people to another world. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I'm sure you'll agree that Vijay Anand managed to take us to his days of tuition, right? And I must say, Vijay, you have a euphonious voice, pleasant, loud enough to be heard, clear enough to understand, and pleasant enough to hold us till the end of your story. And what I liked was the little surprise at the end. You brought it out very well. A well-narrated story that really came out alive thanks to your voice, the power of your voice. And what I liked was very appropriately you brought the difference between that strict father and the reluctant son, and the transformation from that, little inhibited son, and at the end the confidence in your voice. That all came out really well. You did it really beautifully, and you also what I liked was because, and I know that at the end of the story, the cherry on the cake of your speech was really very nicely you brought out that surprise. Now, what would I like you to work on? We didn't see that change in pace. What I felt is in the beginning when you were reluctant, perhaps you could have been, very brought out, said it very slowly, and at the end, when you were very eager to go, perhaps there you could have increased the pace of your voice. And another one that I would have loved to see, because this is including because you had to explore vocal variety, I would have loved to see you speak in that soft tone. Perhaps the story didn't permit it, but I'm sure you're known for charming women, so you should have brought a woman's voice where you could have brought, that high-pitched voice and given us a greater variety. And that is where I asked you to challenge, to see you. Now, it's not here as part of the evaluation, but what I felt was the gestures were a little stiff. So perhaps if that had been smoothened out, it would have added, enriched the voice. So maybe try that, especially you have this habit of, the threatening gesture of the voice. So try and use it, Of course, it was appropriate in this story, but I've noticed it in your earlier speeches, you do the body style. And you have this tendency of frowning. So, these would add to the richness of your voice. So, well done. True to his name, he has conquered vocal variety and in the bargain given us joy to listening to your story, Vijay Anand. And as a parting this, I would say to sign off, don't be afraid to let your voice shine, for it is a gift that should be shared with the entire world. That's a message to all of you all also. Well done.
It's okay, Vijay didn't use his soft voice, we can use the voice of Vijay. Vijay, we really love you. For that wonderful speech. I know all those 9 girls would have told you that. Navratri, right? 9 goddesses, correct? And 1 man. Dasera, Ravana, whatever. Okay. Let's go to the next segment. And I'm going to introduce a person. There was this travel agent who saw an old man and an old woman peering through his travel agency window, and that month he had done really well. He had made so many international deals. He felt a little generous. So he called that old man and that old woman inside and he said, see, I'm going to sponsor a nice stay for both of you all in a luxury hotel and a flight ticket. And he asked his secretary to cut a ticket for both of them, an international ticket and a 3-day stay in a fabulous hotel. And those old men and women were so obliged and they said, yes sir, okay, thank you so much sir. And he cut the ticket and they went away. After around 10 days, he saw that same old woman coming into the travel agent and he said, how did you enjoy your trip which I sponsored for you? She said, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. But why did I have to share the room with that old fellow whom I didn't know? Right? Now, sometimes you have people who are as generous as that travel agent, and one such travel agent who has been as generous. I remember when he used to conduct meetings, he used to give mugs, he used to give pens. He is an absolute generous person. He has been the division director of Division A. We used to call him Dad, DA director, right? He's also a granddad. He was with Kingfisher Airlines. He was the vice president education of our club for 2 terms and also the president for 2 terms. An amazing person to conduct the table topic session. The most generous Melvin Smith.
So it's so wonderful to be here at the stage and reminiscence our lovely meeting, lovely known faces around. The table topic session is all about speaking on your feet, but we also get the added advantage of learning and getting creative and new ideas when people speak on topics. So today, since it's all about past presidents, I'll try and call a few past presidents. I hope some of the active past presidents are still around. And you've got 2 minutes to speak, 1 to 2 minutes, you know the routine. I have a set of few questions. I hope we can do justice to the time that's given. And the first person I want to call on stage is a person who has been the founder, president of our club. And his topic is, our mobiles phone are everything. Toastmaster Robinson.
This is what he said. Our mobile phones are. But friends, this is a nuisance today. Wherever I see, wherever I go, people will be busy with the mobile phones. They don't have time even to this side or that side. No doubt. When we started this club, we didn't have all these 25 years back. But today, these things have been given. But as I said, I travel by metro. Look this side and that side, not a single smile. They don't know what's happening next time. Next to them. Or in the bus. Or we have to change, the people have to change the attitude. Otherwise, whole relationship will spoil.
Fortunately, I feel the same way, Mr. Robinson. Our next topic, is there such a thing called a morning person? Let's have Arun John Mathias.
I am a morning person. And unfortunately my wife is a night person. So I tend to get up early and she tends to sleep early. I'm talking about this because I don't know what else to talk about. But I saw in the video that Nitin showed. I'm getting confused with all classes. So Nitin showed the picture of at the beginning, right? I'm sorry. Soma showed the picture of.
You're a morning person.
So he showed the picture of celebrations which have happened in Toastmaster clubs, the installation ceremonies, and there was a picture of my wife and I.
Yes.
Some of
Yes.
Yes, hugging each other. That was one time where the morning and the night was converged, right? So that reminded me that 17 years ago, I had double the hair that I have on my head now. And all that hair was black, and now it's getting white. Right? So, morning person, yes, there is a morning person, because in the morning, at least for me, I believe that we are the freshest. We can do a lot of thinking. I remember preparing for Toastmaster Club meetings as a speaker. That particular day, I had to get up early because I had to prepare. I was a last-minute preparation guy, right? So I had to prepare for that particular meeting speech or presidential address. It had to be done that morning itself, right? So yes, there is something as a morning person. There is something as a night person as well.
Okay. And the next topic is, when is one considered to be old? When is one considered to be old? Can we have Teresa Chinnappa talk about this? She has a problem to walk, so we'll have Mr. Menon to talk about it.
Good evening, friends.
Good
evening. Toastmasters, and a foe. A foe because he called me and asked me to speak. Anyway, just kidding. Well, he was talking about when is one considered to be old. Now, to me, old age is nothing but a state of mind. Why do I say that? Because age is just a number. Today, if somebody asks me, we have a competition at home. You know, my son always thinks that I am kind of 25 years. For 25 years, I've been 35. You know, that's what he feels. And I'm glad about that. He still thinks that, you know, we have competitions. Whenever we go for hiking, we run up the hills and we compete. He's just about 28, and we compete. And every time I can see him panting, you know, when we climb the hill and all that, and I can still about manage. And my wife also says, come on, you should not be doing that. You're 60 and I said, that's what you think, but I don't. So that's what it is. Age is just a number, and being old, young, or whatever is just a state of mind. And I believe that you think that you're young, you will be young forever.
That's what happens when you get old. You say age is just a number. Is forgiveness a virtue? And I'd like to call this person who's been missing in the club for a very long time, Cherian Thomas.
You're looking very serious for a change. Good evening.
Good evening.
You know, when I was much younger, 25 years, probably about 22, I don't know how many of you were socialists when you were below 25, but I was a die-hard communist because, you know, we grew up in socialism, Nehruvian socialism, and that was a time when we were changing, opening up the economy, and we had this heated debate in our classroom. Oh, by the way, I'm not a communist anymore. They say when you're below 25 and if you're a communist, something's wrong with your heart. When you're above 25 and if you're still a communist, something's wrong with your head. So I've changed. But we used to have these heated debates. And there was one particular moment when there was one real capitalist chap in my class who couldn't take it anymore. And he threw the duster at me. There was no teacher. And I took it personally. I mean, it was an affront. And I couldn't grapple with it. I was wondering now, what do I do? I wasn't strong enough to hit back. So I walked up to my head of the Department of Peace and I narrated the problem. And he said something which had a profound impact on me. He said, Cherian, everyone talks about forgiveness. But you know when you can really forgive? when you can forget it. So forgiveness, yes, the power of forgiveness is huge, but you actually forgive when you actually forgot that you're forgiven. Over to you.
What a twist is what he says. My wife always says she forgives, but she never forgets. Well, going slightly different. Let's talk about what is loneliness. Can we have a choice between Hannah and Umakant? Who would like to take this? Umakant, fine.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests. What is it all about loneliness? So go and ask an old man, a person who's lost his wife, or ask the old lady who's lost her husband. Or a person might have lost his wife or husband or somebody. You understand what is loneliness. Or as you grow old, there's something that creeps into your mind that one day I will be lonely. But loneliness is just, again, as somebody said, it's a state of mind. You have to keep yourself engaged to come out of that position of loneliness. Every person at a certain time, you get that feeling, but never get that feeling take control of you. I always feel whenever there's something disturbing me, I won't like to take that to take control of me. Yes, loneliness is also that. It is about controlling yourself. Once we start controlling ourselves, we sure we can recover, we can come out of loneliness.
What would you consider a healthy life? We'll have Hari Kumar.
Table Topic Master and the Toastmasters. Every year, I do take a resolution that I will be walking every day. But to this day, I'm unable to keep up that promise. So every year, I again get a chance to again take this oath and promise that this year I walk and be healthy. So that way I'm very consistent. Keeping my word. But nowadays, I really try to walk at least a few minutes every day. And I'm an ardent or very voracious eater. So I try to control my food a little bit so that there is some health left in me in the future days. So take a small step every day, and that's what I'm doing today. Back to you.
It's very difficult sometimes. Simple topics become very difficult to answer, but you get a new perspective. You know, an aunt of mine recently met me and she said, "You look so healthy." I knew what she meant. How to relax or react after losing a job? Let's look at some past presidents who can take this up. Hannah, would you like to take this? Godfrey? Godfrey.
Good evening, Toastmasters. Toastmasters and Table Topic Master. Thank you for this opportunity. How do you relax? It's not the end of your journey. It's how you take it. Life will throw you surprises, but it is up to us to face the challenges the way we want it. It's how we take the challenge will depend upon how we respond or how we react. Our response will take us through. But if we react and go the other way around, we're going down south. And that will make you lonely, even though you are in a company, as Uma can say. It all depends upon your mental state of mind and how, whether to face it or you're going to flee from the place. That's all.
Unfortunately, this will be the last topic. I'm trying to see which one to put. Gadgets and technology. Gadgets and technology. Can we have Prakash Francis?
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. The first thing that came to me was Talk Magic, because that is the club I belong. But this is the club where I started with. This is my mother club, not the home club, but yes, as far as she'll probably could call it the mother club. Yes, great to be back after a very, very long time. And the topic, I was wondering the kind of topics that were coming about old age and health and loneliness. I mean, what happened? what has he been going through that such topics are coming out? And it all started with the gadgets and then again coming back to gadgets. Why are we talking about gadgets when there are so many people around? Perhaps this is the time to put back all your gadgets and enjoy, have some one-on-one, face-to-face, because that is what it's all about. That is what, as we discussed, that is what Toastmasters is all about. That is what most of us are here for. I mean, whether you call it communication skills, whether you call it leadership skills, at the end of the day, what brought me to Bangalore Toastmasters Club, made it a decision for me to join Bangalore Toastmasters Club was the camaraderie. And I learned a lot, of course, and I have taken what I have learned from here to Talk Magic Toastmasters Club, and that is the club that I belong to now. There were reasons, distance being one of those for which I moved there. But that is not the reason. I'm not trying to explain. But I really don't have anything to say about gadgets, because actually you can talk about gadgets for a very long time. But maybe we can keep it for some other day. Over to you.
I said that was the last topic. Where we got technology today. We got a message across to me saying that we have to have Teresa come and share her experience.
Good evening. First I thought I won't talk because it's like coming for the first time. I got a bit of shivers and cold feet. Anyway, the question was do you feel old anytime? But I feel as on today. Can you guess my age? 16. Sweet 16. Anybody can guess my age? 30. 16. No, sorry. I'm 75 and I was everything that I wanted to do in my life. I never did enjoy when I was younger with all the job and children and this. But once I retired, I just let go of myself. I'm into everything. A to Z. I'm walking, I'm swimming, I'm doing Zumba, I'm doing traveling abroad, and and I say never give up. And it is nice to feel young and energetic. I'm into all kinds of hobbies, gardening, and my good friend Melvin sees me at the club. I mean, I take part in all the activities that's there, you know. So I feel, you know, keeping myself busy. And I believe that we should have the best. I'm a foodie. I love to eat nice, good food. But I choose my food also. And my grandchildren are there. My daughter is there in Belgium, Brussels. So I keep traveling a lot. And I gel with my grandchildren, you know, dancing with them, singing with them, and doing everything that I like. So I said, live it up. So I say, you will never grow old. Remember the love in your heart. You will never grow old. Remember the love in your heart, darling. You will never grow old. That's me. Thank you.
Fabulous session to hear most of the former presidents of our club, and now it's back to Rajdeep and Bani.
He's getting older.
And lonely.
So thank you, Melvin, for the very interesting table topics on, as Prakash diverted the topic you had on Holi, you know, but who wouldn't want topics when you have Teresa who can sing, you will never get old, right? But thank you so much, Melanie. My wife thinks I'm getting old. We have to do something about this, right? As we pass. And thank you, Cherin, for talking about forgive and forget. I forgive, my wife never forgets, so we don't know what's happening. But anyway, after this amazing table topics, please give a big round of applause to all the It is said that life is a pack of cards. When you are young, it's all about hearts. When you go a little older, it's all about going to clubs. It's all about making diamonds. But finally, we all have to go to the spades, right? But I think so Toastmasters, and especially Bangalore Toastmasters, are always in all the three phases, the hearts, the diamonds, and the clubs. And to take a leaf out of this Bangalore Toastmasters, I have to tell you something. You know, when I came here, I wasn't as good a speaker. I remember when I couldn't crack a single joke. And I remember I'd done a speech specifically on humor. And the evaluator, Mr. Josh Timothy, came up and said, this is the most serious depiction of humor I ever heard. So from that stage to this stage, it has been a huge transformation. So with this huge transformation, with a big thank you to the committee, with a big thank you to all the past presidents who have come to this meeting, I would like to hand over the reins of the meeting to our current president, Mr. Shashank.
Thank you, DDM Dr. Rajdeep. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, what a wonderful session we had. And what was so special about this meeting? All the members who came on stage were the past presidents of our club. Can you round of applause to all of them? It is now time for us, and before I tell anything else, I have to counter Melvin and add on to Mr. Menon. My title of my first speech, my icebreaker speech at this club was "Age is just a number." Because as we all know, we may be young or we may be old, but there is no limit for us to stop learning. So not necessarily all veterans or oldies will tell this, but as one of the youngest members of the club, I had mentioned this during my speech. Moving on, it's time for us to acknowledge the contributions made by all the past presidents of our club, starting with the founder members. I would now like to invite our founder president, Toastmaster Robinson D'Souza, to share a message to all of us in a minute, please. Can we please have you on stage?
In a minute, it's impossible after coming over here. one or two aspects I would like to share with you. We started this club. 4 persons contributed 1,000 rupees each. 3 of them are present here. May I request Claudius and Siraj? Thank you for you. We are in the We had some difficulty in running this club, registering this club, because this was one of the earliest clubs after the garden. It was very difficult to attract members. Claudius, you helped us with your staff and you paid their bills and their fees, and I was able to register. We were able to register this club. Thank you, Claudius, for that. And message, power. How many of you are not Toastmasters? Kindly raise your hand. How many of you don't belong to any Toastmasters Club? I tell you one incident, and if I have message this one. 8 years back, I was requested to give a motivation speech to nearly 40 to 50 youth, youngsters. They had decided to compete for the civil service examination. I spoke for 2 hours, telling them the stories of the government, the stories, my own true stories, for 2 hours. One person was sitting at the stage there, tall, hefty, well dressed. For the entire 2 hours time, he did not smile, did not ask me any question. I was wondering, why this fellow is so serious? After 2 hours session, I noted him and I ran after him to find out why he was not speaking, why he didn't ask me question. Then I realized that he had a speaking disability. He was standing. Then I told him about Toastmasters, my own story. I had a speaking handicap and requested him to come and see what happens. Next Friday, usually I have come to Toastmaster meeting a little early. I came here at 5:30, but that person was sitting on the 3rd chair there. Only one he was alone sitting there. Could he improve? Could he learn communication? Today, 8 years later, he has 3 DTMs. DTM is the highest award one can get. 3 DTMs. The first DTM he secured within 3 years of joining Toastmasters. And he was instrumental in forming 5 clubs. When you join Toastmasters, you improve your communication, you get out of the field. I ran away thrice when I was young. Accidentally I joined Toastmasters. I was not told what Toastmasters was. Anil, another founder member, took me to Claudius. He was the president then. He was at the gate. Embraced me, took me, made me to sit in the front, and gave me a topic to speak. It transformed my life. I am 75, joining you. Very Today I conduct training classes, all on account of the Toastmasters. Here I have seen about 20% in their hands. This is the place where you can improve yourself. Not only that, you have progeny, think of them. They will be converted. They will become good leaders, good communicators.
Can I also request our founder members, Toastmaster Claudius Pereira and Toastmaster Siraj, please come on stage. On behalf of the committee and on behalf of all the members of our club, we have a small token of gratitude to be given to the founder members of our club. Thank you all of you. Now I would request Toastmaster Robinson to please come back on stage to felicitate other past presidents in the order in which they became the presidents. Can I call upon DTM John Bosco Abraham, please. CS Menon. Somashekar TH. Sumitra Manmohan. Nitin B. Umakant Vichur. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, call Toastmaster, Mr. Claudius Pereira to please come on stage. Okay, now call upon Arun John Matthias, please. Teresa Chimapa. Rajdeep Manmani. Hari Kumar. Pavas Chandra. Vijayanand.
Tuition class.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Claudius. I would like to call Mr. Sirajul Rahman to please felicitate the other past presidents. Godfrey Soames. Chedian Thomas. Prakash Francis. Melvin Smith. Hannah Victoria. Thank you, sir. I hope we have covered all the past presidents. I hope we have not missed anyone on stage. Okay. Moving on, the last celebration for tonight. What's a celebration without a cake? So I would like to call again our founder members of our club, Mr. Robinson D'Souza, Mr. Claudius Pereira, and Mr. Sirajul Rahman. Please join us on stage for a cake cutting ceremony. Dear members and guests, after the cake cutting ceremony, we will have delicious snacks which will be served and mementos to be given to all the members along with the snacks. So please wait till the conclusion.
Brand, you come here and take one.
Now we'll definitely serve this cake along with the snacks. Can I call on all the past presidents to come on stage for a quick photograph, please, while we do the cake. we have all the past presidents on stage for a quick photograph. This will be followed by a photograph with all the members as well. Can we have all the members also to please join us on stage, please? Next game. Can we have all the members to please join us?
Say politics, religion, last one is no.
These two chairs are coming in
Yeah,
between.
that's wish the side, you know.
These are well.
Okay, perfect.
You need to say my suit didn't come in.
I'm not a very good photographer, I'm trying hard.
I think you can.
Can we have you on the center?
Sorry?
Ajay, come to the center. Ajay, come to the center. It's not coming. Can we all tilt towards Ajay? Just I can't still go. Go, Ajay.
I'm sitting in the down.
Ajay, get on the chair. Get on the chair.
Just make sure.
Okay, everyone look at Ajay and smile, please.
Just make sure and your Priyanka.
I'll take him crazy.
Side view. This side pose of me is not
Can we invite all the guests as well, please, for the last photograph? So that all of us are.
Come. Can I have all the guests? Please come. Please go. You have to stitch the pass. I'll take care of this. No. Okay. Come. Climb up or go back, not
Yeah, it's without all the pictures.
one by one.
So, come on, hands up.
On the chair, if you want.
Whatever it is, do it fast. These snacks come.
Where's the cake? Okay, one last. Come on.
Yeah.
Ganesh, come. What a timing. Right time. Okay, now. I think we are doing family reception.
Yeah. Smile.
Thank you.
Thank you.